Hey everybody, Brian Raisin coming at you today from the iconic Ohio Stadium to talk about coaching. What would be a better place? A lot of coaching going on here on the weekends, probably during the week as well. Although I think our team actually practices over a few fields over. So today I want to jump in to this idea about coaching in leadership. What does it mean? What does it look like? So if we were in class, I would pull up and play the SNL clip on coaching and mentoring. It's got Peyton Manning, and basically what's happening in this clip is he's like just drilling these kids. Ostensibly he's coaching them and helping them along, but he's really just drilling these kids with the football, and it's funny. It's probably inappropriate, but it will make you laugh. So Google it up and watch. But what's happening in the video? Have you ever been in a situation where your coach isn't really coaching? They're just drilling you with what they want. I've seen that movie, and it's not fun. They're just trying to manipulate you or someone. There was a woman on the park bench I noted there. He's trying to get her attention. He's using the kids, using these people supposedly he's coaching in order to have power and control. If you watch it, you got to ask yourself, how does that make you feel? Have you met somebody like that? It's a horrible example, but just like the bad example that I gave before in the mentoring, I want you to think about these things, because maybe we've all been guilty in some way of presumably coaching someone when we're really trying to get a desired behavior for something that we want. So we need to be careful. I just like to bring that to your attention, to the attention of my students when I'm teaching this in a grad class. So in your own words, what is coaching? How would you define it? Well, coaching, think about it as a process, guiding good people to make the most of their capabilities. So consider that. They already have capabilities. You're just helping them make the most, positioning them to work more effectively within that environment. On the football field, here at the stadium, they're coached on how to be better at what they already know how to do. Off the field, it's more of a mentoring perspective, perhaps, on life. You remember the E plus R equals O. I talked about that in an earlier video. If you don't get a chance to watch it, or Google up Brian or Tim Kite when they talk about it. The event happens, you respond, plus your response equals the outcome. And the only thing you can actually control, whether you're coaching somebody or just living life, is that R, the R factor, your response. And how you make that response can make all the difference in the world, for you personally or for the person you're coaching. So I always like to put that back as the reminder. So when do you start coaching? Well, maybe it's an employee. It could be a colleague or a friend. If they're feeling stagnant or stuck, maybe they've outgrown their role. They're not sure what's interfering with their ability to achieve a goal, personal or professional goal. Or maybe they need to find a way to move forward to make progress. They might need a little insight about behavior or action. It's very difficult for me to see myself and to realize what I'm doing or how I'm acting in different situations, particularly if I'm in a management situation, to step back and to have that perspective of that, so you can have someone else help you do that. Or you coach when someone realizes that, or if you realize there's a technical or organizational, some sort of problem that's blocking performance and potential, and you want to be able to move them toward the potential. You've probably seen examples of all of these situations if you sat and thought for a couple of minutes. Coaching can be, for performance, one of the most important aspects of performance management. Sometimes we jump to almost a punitive, measure, but if we can coach, we can save ourselves a lot of headache and a lot of time. 3 principles, though, to really keep in mind and to really focus when you're doing that coaching is maintain their self-esteem, provide some empathy, and help them develop the solution. Don't just necessarily give it to them. Help them work through it. It can be very powerful. A counterexample of this, and again, I throw it out just so that we don't accidentally do it, is in my paper industry years. I was in the paper industry for half a dozen years, and we had an HR manager who liked to just torment the union guys, and they were fantastic folks to work with, but he didn't always see that value. And so he would do this. I'll show you. This is my office wall. So think family pictures, calendar, that kind of thing. On his office wall, he would take someone's performance plan when they had a problem, write it up on paper. I pledge to arrive on time, meet goals or quotas, whatever, have a better attitude. If I fail to meet these, I understand I'll be fired. And then the employee would have to sign their name, he would sign his name, and he would have it right on his wall where people could see that when they walk into his office. It was a horrible example, a horrible way to go about doing business. So I throw that out there just as a caution. Please don't approach things that way. I'm going to shift out of the sun just a little bit so I can keep my camera going all right. So coaching different versus mentoring, what are the difference? You'll probably be doing both in your work, whatever it may be. In coaching, you're usually focused around a performance thing, using capabilities more effectively, developing a skill or a task to help them move forward. Versus mentoring, it's usually more with the career facilitation, longer term versus a shorter term, overcoming a need. And in coaching, a lot of times you might provide the answer or the insight to help them make that incremental move or leap. Versus in mentoring, a lot of times you're asking questions and encouraging them to really discover and move forward and think about current state versus future state, and what are those tensions or the things that they can do to move them toward that future state. Coaching and mentoring, they could be directive or non-directive. You can do both ways. They may require and draw on the helper's experience, so you involve them. You also are, of course, giving insight and advice. But the other thing you need to think about is you may be doing goals that were set by the learner or were set for the learner. And so it's not just having coffee, you're getting more deeply into goals and things like that. The sun is like moving fast. So I'm going to shift one more time to stay ahead of it. All right. So it also may be helping them deal with a significant transition that the learner wishes to make, or addressing some sort of personal growth or personal ambition. Here's an office coaching scenario just to throw out there. You've been hired. There's Bill. He works at the front desk. He's been there for 5 years. You're the new manager. Bill's really well liked. He's knowledgeable. No history of problems. For the last couple of months, 6 months, he's been showing up 10 to 25% late. He says he doesn't feel well in the morning. How would you coach Bill in a situation like this? Think about that for a second. I can imagine a number of different ways this could be handled. Certainly you could do a punitive measure and say, well, we're going to give you a letter of warning, that sort of thing. Or you could approach it with the empathy, with the self-esteem or respect for the employee, and with trust that we talked about before in the mentoring, and give them some tips, inquire a little bit, get to know them better, and coach them through this. Maybe it's something that they can overcome pretty quickly. So please keep that in mind when you're doing these things. It's just one example. There are many that we could do. I wish we were in class together. We could really go through some and have some really good discussions. So coaching, mentoring, they're both critical for success. They're both critical for your organization. One thing that ties both of them together is motivation. What motivates people? What motivates yourself? What motivates you? What motivates your colleagues or the folks that are working for you? We'll talk about that in the next video. So I hope you tune in. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day.